That's the most creative way I think I have ever found to fund not just the real estate, but any kind of investments you want. I mean, if you want to use it for, if you are a great stock market investor, you could even do it for stock market. If you want to do for precious metal, you can do for precious metal. So it's really what purpose that you want to use it for. People use it for 529 plan as an alternative to the 529 plan because you have access to money anytime you want. It doesn't have to be purpose oriented in terms of, oh, it needs to be only for the education. It can be used for anything, that any purpose that you want. So that's the beauty of it.
Invest in and follow principles. That has proved to be pretty successful.
This landlord's gonna make almost $2 million over the next 12 years for doing something one time. And that's like residual. This guy's got another 7 retail spaces and he's got 10 stories of apartments above it. And I'm like, man, I'm on the wrong side of the coin, right? I need to own real estate, not broker it.
You start doing deals that are absolutely life-changing, like that put you on the path for intergenerational wealth.
Welcome to the Real Estate HomeRuns podcast. I am your host, Luis Vanderhorst. This is a podcast for busy professionals who want to learn about passive income producing strategies that have helped others crush it in the real estate world. Whether you are a new or seasoned real estate investor, this is the podcast for you. Today's guest, Madhavi Jain, will share about how she helps others think outside the stocks by utilizing the infinite banking system. Madhavi has been investing in real estate since 2016, and in a very short amount of time, her portfolio has grown from single-family rentals and Airbnbs to multifamily apartment buildings. Today, we will be talking about one of the best ways to save your money so that you can use it as a down payment on future investments. Welcome back to the show. Madhavi, it's a pleasure to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here, Liz. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I feel like anytime I speak with you, I have to be taking notes and processing the information and the wisdom that you have. So I'm really excited and thankful that you took me up on this podcast interview.
I'm excited to be here. Yes, I think that I really like your point of view, taking notes, making sure that you kind of recollect what you heard in the interview. Sometimes it's very important when we are hearing about things and later on it just drops a priority. So love that you take notes and create your plan. You're a very action man, I think.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit before we get into today's topic about yourself and your background.
Sure. So I came with my husband to this country about 20 some years back. So we are the first generation immigrants from India, of course, with the technology world. So I worked with like top 5 consulting companies, Deloitte Consulting for really long time in project management, about 15, 16 years. And I had to kind of pull the plug because my health was kind of deteriorating and I wanted to take that step to just focus on myself. So I left my job in 2015. And typically people I see around in this world, they come up with their income flow, the cash flow that they're earning from their day job and then leave the job. But for me, it kind of started in the reverse order. So I left my job because of my health, but that actually became a very motivational point for me, my big why I wanted to delve into this world of alternate investments and why should I look into the financial freedom? So the health was my choice to look at and reframe myself. But I see people around which have definitely different limitations, and focusing on the financial freedom dream and what it is really means to you is what I started doing 5 years back, and that led me to this path where I'm just blessed to be exposed to these strategies, which stayed kind of in the elite circle of America, existed for hundreds of years, but didn't come in light. And just because I was not connected to these people, or I was not connected to the right circle. So that kind of became my quest. And we think outside the stocks, whatever I learned into this alternate world, I just want to bring that to the light, and I want to just start implementing it to as many families as possible. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I think outside the stocks. It's just not the name of my company, but it's my strategy, my mindset. I have been always thinking outside the box, kind of thinking differently about different things in life. And I think that's a perspective we all need to take at some point.
Yeah, and so it's a change in mindset and knowing that there are more options, different ways out there, and not one size fits all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, see, when something comes to you, something gets presented to you. In my case, my health this was the reason that came into my life. When something gets presented to you, it's really your mindset and how you define it for yourself, how you can, keep the definition the same, or you can change the definition for yourself and what it means to you. And it would have a completely different outcome. So whenever there is a so-called limitations come to you, you just take it as a curveball and just turn into something completely different. And that's the thing I did, I think. And I would encourage for you to look into your life and see what is that curveball that you're facing and how can you change that definition and make it a bigger perspective for you.
Awesome. Thank you. And how did you get started in real estate? What motivated you to think of real estate? And also, it seems like for some people, getting the financing in place for them to get started is a roadblock. So
Yep.
they always stay in the cycle of perhaps renting, never owning. How did you start that journey?
So when like I said, that when I left my job and I was looking at the alternate income cash flow, I was looking at multiple options. And believe me, I mean, there's just so many options out there. It's completely blinding. You can't really focus on one thing. There are 100 things to focus on. We live in the world of information, but sometimes there's an information overload and you face that. Not only there is an information overload, there is people who want to educate and who want to offer the education. And there is, all these money hoarding gurus too that you come across to, right? So I was dwelling into what I need to do, what I want to focus on, and in terms of alternate investments, right? So real estate kind of was an obvious choice because it has been going on for years, right? I mean, if you go and look back, even kings and queens did that. They fought for the real estate, they expanded their kingdom. And even in the new world, when you look at the wealthy of America, they earned their money doing whatever business that they were doing, like the founding fathers of the country, the financial fathers of the country. But to retain that money, the strategies that they applied, there is a lot of real estate in that, right? That's what make it more stable and kind of protecting that money, that wealth that they had. So I started looking at real estate, and as I said, because of my health, I had the limitation that how much I can do, and there is that I blame TV for this, but there's so much of that fix and flip and foreclosure and those kind of options. I knew that I couldn't do that because I did not have that time or the effort to do that. So I was looking for something on the passive side, and the rental real estate came as, okay, this is passive. At least the tax code says that. So we went in the rental real estate. Started with the Airbnb as well, which was quite accidental, but the Airbnb, we still have the rental portfolio, we still have the Airbnb. But what I realized soon, that there is nothing passive about the rental real estate. And there's a lot of stress about finding the right tenant. If you don't find the right tenant, whatever happens to your property, it takes like one wrong tenant and it just messes up your entire cash flow. And I got served with that kind of tenant who really wrecked my rental property, and I had literally in 5 figures, I had to spend money to just get that house bring back to its glory so that it can be rented to the other person. So completely washed my previous cash flow, maybe the future cash flow for that property. But anyway, so lessons like this, kind of I was looking for in terms of scalability, and I came across the world of multifamily, the apartments that we see around us, and investing into apartment complexes. And whenever I would pass such apartment and something new was building in my city, I would say that, oh, who invests into this? Maybe the Ritz invest into this. People with big money, I mean, with millions of dollars, they invest in it. But I never knew that I could invest, especially with my retirement accounts or the money I have in bank account, I could invest using that. And when I got very curious about it. I learned more and more about it. And that one strategy, I looked at it and I'm like, this is a game-changing strategy. I wish I had known this, 10 years ago, or, some time back. But now as that I have known about it, it just kind of made me restless. And another strategy, and you talked about the financing of it, another strategy actually, which was again game changing for me and blew my mind, was called something called infinity banking system. And maybe we can talk about it in detail in some time. But the infinity banking system, it helps you to kind of, eliminate the banks completely, and you can be your own bank, and you can fund your, you can have that leverage that you can create from yourself, where your money is still earning a compounded interest way of returns, and get that leverage and implement into your investments made, if you want to do it rental real estate, if you want to do the syndicated investments, or anything else that you want to do it. So these two strategies, this exists for such a long time. When I got it, first of all, I'm a very numbers person. So I thought, okay, this is just too good to be true. So I had to evaluate it in my way. I had to like literally drill down the numbers, make sure that, in this scenario, that scenario, it works. And it just, it worked every time. When I was convinced and I implemented it for my family, I should have been happy, right? But I was not happy. It made me actually more restless, and it made me restless that the technology community that I come from, they're still, doing their traditional way of saving. I mean, saving, working really hard in saving and investing very honestly, and mostly in stock market, and losing their sleep over the stock market volatility. And also the just, the community around me. I mean, if I look outside my window of my house, and I look at these houses, and I wonder sometimes, do these people know about this strategy that I know, if it's just like really, I'm few feet away from them. So that kind of made me restless. And that's when I decided that I need to bring this to the light, so that everybody can have access to it. Maybe it comes to the education. I wanted to have, for them to have the means to get quality education, so they can passively invest in these strategies, and as well as provide the ways to implement it. So I got my license for implementing the banking strategy with the life insurance, with the high cash value life
Yeah,
insurance,
tell us about
as well
that.
as, yeah, and then as well as the syndication. I bring the good quality deals to my investors, so they can invest from time to time, so they don't have to be spending money to be part of that secret circles or inner group, to be participating in the investments.
That's an interesting approach because now you're able to have your money while it's kind of quote unquote parked,
Yeah,
getting compounded interest that is just being added to your savings. And you can use that to buy investments and be able to leverage what you can do with your
absolutely.
own money.
Yeah, absolutely. You got it right, Lois. And what happens is, when I look at somebody to help somebody, right? I'll try to identify their problem areas first. And the problem areas is, one is the leakage, like for example, taxes, that you're leaking your wealth from there. And the second problem is that if your money is supposed to grow in a certain way, if it is not growing, you're kind of losing the opportunity cost, the future opportunity cost of that money too. So when it comes to how we use our banking systems, why do we keep money in the bank, right? I mean, let me ask you that question. Why do you keep your money in the bank? Just tell me
We
what's the reason?
well, to we see it as a savings, but that's the interest or return that we get from that is really low.
Right.
The money is not really growing or moving.
But you're still
We're
using the
still
banks, right? I mean, so what
yes.
encourages you to use the bank?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the flexibility of it, that whenever you want your money, you can access it, and it's
True.
there, right? So the number one problem I see is that saving being so inefficient. Just for that, having that flexibility and the assurance that, okay, my money is never going to get vanished, it's there, it's assured, it's in the bank, and I'm, earning maybe a little bit percent while I'm just using it for that flexibility. So if in case of emergency, I can have that immediate access to that money. But because of that, we get so limited, and the banks actually, we think that money is not, we are not losing money. But think about it. These days, what are we getting? 1%, even less than that, right? 1% is the interest, even if we are getting that. On top of it, you pay taxes, right? So even if you are in a 25%, 30%, whatever the tax bracket, so your interest rate is impacted by that. as well as the 3% is the inflation. So you are
Yeah, inflation.
actually, yes, yeah. So you're actually, even without realizing, losing money year after year in these bank accounts. So that is the number one problem that the infinity banking system can solve. Not only it can provide you that flexibility that you can access your money at any time, but it also provides you better growth than what the banks are providing. So in this system and the in the high cash value life insurance system, and people often come and say that, hey, I have the life insurance, can I use it for this particular strategy? And my answer typically, well, it depends, but this system has to be created in a very certain specific way. Not many life insurance agents actually know about it. In fact, I had a policy which was created by this life insurance agent who was really great, but did not know about this system, and it was not set up in an efficient way, so I was losing money to the cost of insurance in that. So in this system you can actually optimize so that your cost of insurance gets covered pretty quickly, as well as your growth. The 3.5% is the guaranteed growth in this system, and on top of it you you receive dividends from these companies, and these companies are mutual companies, right? These are not they don't exist like in 10 years, 20 years of book of business. They go back to like 100 years, 150 years. Some have been established in 1800s. So they have such a long and strong track history of providing these dividends. They provided dividends even in during the 2008 market crash. In fact, most of the companies are announcing dividends this year. They are providing dividends even this year. They even provided dividends during the Great Depression. So that's how consistent they have been through the years. So not only you get good dividends, but since it's inside your policy, you have that growth going on tax-free for you. So you don't end up paying every year on taxes, but you start earning that compound interest on the money that you're saving on the taxes too. And not just that, it has so many other advantages that you can literally access that money anytime that you want, and you can contribute without any limit to it. So a lot of people don't understand it, even if
So
they
there is no
set.
minimum to contribute.
So you can set your own limit to it. The limit, the only one kind of rule the IRA can set it up is what that limit is going to be in terms of the proportion of the death benefit. So that's the only thing that they say, that if you are, if you say, for example, if you have 500K death benefit, there is only so much you can put into it. But if you want to put more or less, you change that death benefit limit. So you put it $1 million, you can put it more. You put it to 250K, you can put it less. So depending on what you want to do, the way I structure it is I look at what in life insurance, that we can purchase with the maximum, amount that we can be pushing in this system. It's almost like a tin can which can grow to fit your size, and we can literally create a fit your size model based on each individual scenario.
Okay. So it can vary depending on everyone's risk
Yeah,
tolerance and how much they feel comfortable with.
and this actually, there's the only limit is what you want to put it into it, right? So somebody can put 10,000, and if you want 100,000 a year, you can do that. So it really depends on you. And this money is growing in a guaranteed risk-free environment. There are not many things that we can say risk-free or zero risk in this world, right? But this is the thing we can actually say that this is a guaranteed growth, because this has never lost a penny to anyone. So this is the system which provides you the guaranteed growth. And the beauty of it comes to what you were saying on how you can fund your investments, or how you can fund even your expenses with it. So instead of you paying for your expenses directly, or you emptying out your bank account towards the investment, what you do instead is you take a leverage. So for example, suppose you're buying a rental and you get a 75% loan from the bank. Even if you have, suppose you're buying a 200K house, even if you have a 200K in your bank account, would you go and put all the money down and purchase that home? Or would you go and take the leverage, the 75% from the bank? You would take the 75%
Yeah.
from the bank, right? So the same way if you can get leverage from yourself for the rest of the 25% as well, your IRR is just going to shot up. That's the simple math. So what you do, instead of you emptying out your bank account, you actually borrow from this banking system that you created, and you improve your IRR even better, and you actually keep on getting the compounded growth. That growth inside the policy is never interrupted. You still continue for years to come to get that growth of the cash value, and it grows year after year. And that's the most creative way I think I have ever found to fund not just the real estate, but any kind of investments you want. I mean, if you want to use it for, if you are a great stock market investor, you could even do it for stock market. If you want to do for precious metal, you can do for precious metal. So it's really what purpose that you want to use it for. People use it for 529 plan as an alternative to the 529 plan, because you have access to money anytime you want. It doesn't have to be purpose oriented in terms of, oh, it needs to be only for the education. It can be used for anything, that any purpose that you want. So that's the beauty of it.
That is, yeah, I did not know that you can use it for anything that you want, or even that you have to explain what it is to great detail. Yeah, that's
And the beauty is,
powerful.
when you're taking that leverage, you don't have to take somebody's permission that, okay, I'm using it for this particular purpose. It's essentially the theme behind it is that it's your money, you're using it as a collateral, right? So nobody asks you that what is the purpose that you want to use it for. I mean, people, they, if you're taking that loan from the insurance companies, they don't even ask you, they don't even go back and check your credit score, or hit your credit history. They don't ask, there is no process for that approval of the loans, or there is no fees for that loan. So it's really, they ask you with two important questions. One is how much money that you need, and number two, where do you need that money? That's all that they need to know. There is no questions asked. You get the access to that money as quickly as, even in a couple of days, it could show up in your bank account when you need to do it.
And how much paperwork or how long does it take for someone to get an account set up or get started with something like that?
So the underlying vehicle is the insurance vehicle, right? So these days, these companies have been using the technology for most of the purposes. So if you are in a good health, you can go through a really great approval system, which is fairly quick. It's mostly electronic. Sometimes you don't even have to go for that medical exam. So since the underlying vehicle is the insurance, we have to go by that medical system, right? They get access to your medical records. They will, they will provide you a class, a rating based on that. We can create an illustration for you and show you how your performance would be in terms of the, what death benefit you would get, what the performance of the cash value that you have, how it will perform. But most of the times, I mean, people quite often ask me that, hey, I'm, 55-year-old. Can I do it now? Is it too late for me? It's not too late. I mean, I have, recently done somebody who was a 55-year-old. I'm working on somebody who is 62-year-old. So it really depends. It does not, the age is not the factor. We can literally, because the essential purpose of it is growing your cash value and not based on your, the death benefit. We can still focus on optimizing that policy soon enough for you and make it work for you too.
Awesome. So you get compounded interest, it's
Yeah.
tax free.
Uh-huh.
You're getting dividends while that money is working for you.
But even when you're sleeping, it's just,
Even when you're
sleeping that
sleeping.
it's
Yeah.
not losing.
Sounds great. Yeah. And the question that I have for you next is, what piece of advice would you give a new investor that wants to start investing passively and growing wealth?
Well, I would say that the mindset is everything. And if you get your mind to do it, it's very normal to see something new and hesitate. Ask yourself that question. What is your hesitation for? Is it just a cold fit? Do you need more information? What kind of information you need? So if you can identify that, what is your hesitation for, if you name it, you can get answer to it. answer for it. But if you don't name it, you're not going to get answer for that, and you're just going to lose on that opportunity, and the opportunity cost that will impact the future or growth of that money too. So often I see passive investors, they are afraid of taking that leap, and they ask me that, okay, how much risk in it is it in it? The infinity banking system, it's completely risk free. When it comes to the syndicated investments, it has some risk, but think about it, it's still backed by real tangible asset. The asset value is not going to go down suddenly over the period of like a month or something, right? So the question you have to ask yourself, that what is the risk that I have been taking till now? You have been sleeping every single day, taking the risk in the stock market, and all your money, everything just tied up to the stock market. When you have a better way of doing it, don't just hesitate without the reason, because the hesitation, it needs to have a name to it. If you put a name to it, you can have the information, you can have answer to it. If you don't put a name to it, you're just going to have that cold fit, and you're just going to withdraw from the opportunity that's presented in front of you.
That's good.
Yeah, and then often, you come across, you will listen for some strategies, you come across a strategy, you will listen to it in a podcast or in an educational event, and you think that, okay, I'm going to implement it. Always remember that the time to take action is not tomorrow. Don't say that, okay, I'm going to start it tomorrow. Don't say that I'm going to start it today. The time to take action is now. When you don't take action now, you're just going to forget about it as a priority. So
Mm-hmm.
always remember that the time to take action is not tomorrow, not today. The
Mm-hmm.
time to take action is right now.
Awesome. And what are three tips or strategies? And I think I know based on what we already discussed, but just for the sake of the audience, that have helped you hit home runs in real estate that you would like to share with the audience.
Well, the three things I would say, the first thing that you have to really look at is your mindset. You make yourself so stronger than yourself. The mindset, you make your mindset so stronger than yourself, that you build like a strong, almost like a fort inside you. What comes to your life, what life has to serve, it's gonna serve. How you take a look at it and how you implement things after that, it's really your perspective. I mean, I got served, with a lemon when it comes to the health of for me, and I just turned this into a big opportunity of learning. And I would have never discovered this entire world if it was not for that what I got served. So the mindset is something that you really work on. You can set your mind to it and make it happen. So just believe in that and set your mind to it. So that is number one tip that I would say. Number two, this tip number two is really success leaves clues. We have seen people being successful. There's this wealthy of America. I mean, you can take a look at it again. It could be your perspective. You can take a look at it and say that, oh, they're rich. I don't want to be like that. Or you can say that, oh, they're rich. What made them rich? What made them sustain that wealth? I'm going to learn from that. So success leaves clues. Don't try to reinvent the wheel, and learn from somebody else's experiences, learn from somebody else's mistakes. Don't make the same mistakes again. And when you learn, and this is the third and most important part, when you learn and when you have that information, don't hoard that information to yourself. Share it with the world, because when it comes to, especially when it comes to the finances, we tend to be reserved community. We want to implement the strategies for ourselves, but share it at least with one person, that the amount of pleasure that you're going to get out of that is going to be immense. So share that and help them to understand that too, or at least point to the right resources so they can implement in their system too. I'm on a mission, Louis. If you ask me, I'm on a mission. I want to change the financial trajectory of one family at a time, and million more to go. So if you
Awesome.
point at least one person to the right direction, you're gonna sleep very peacefully that night.
Mhm.
Just trust me. So I would say, just focus on that, and always remember, if you want to take an action, if you want to implement something, take an action right now, because tomorrow or today is going to be declining in the priority. So always take that action now.
And you might get distracted if you don't take action now.
Yeah, and then
get pulled by other things.
Absolutely, it becomes high priority right now, and the priority just drastically declines exponentially over the period of days.
So change your mindset. Success leaves clues. Learn from others, and take action.
Yep.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And share it with at least one person. Don't hoard. The knowledge cannot be hoarded. It has to be shared to increase. So just remember that. Share it at least with one person that you know.
And let's say if people want to stay in contact with you or reach out to you to learn more about the infinite banking system, how can they do that?
So I actually have the website. My website is www.thinkoutsidethestocks.com. So stocks with S. So go ahead and take a look at my website. If you want to be connected with me, get my updates with my educational events I have from time to time. Just sign up and get those educational events, attend those educational events, start your learning process now. And you can always schedule a call with me. I offer a free strategy session. So you can just go on the website, just click that schedule a call link and put yourself on my calendar. I would love to start planning your financial freedom plan with you so we can work together towards just maximizing your wealth. So don't just think about growing your money, maximize your wealth, and we can create that plan together. In fact, I have a gift for our guests today. I have, a few of my educational content. It's the holistic perspective about the wealth management, and I have a 7-step wealth maximization blueprint, like top 1% of America. It's an ebook. So if you just want to text the word think to 31996, you will get that wealth maximization blueprint like wealthy. You'll get that free ebook, and just start from there and just reach out to me. My services are for free to you. My education is free. So just reach out. It doesn't harm. You don't have anything to lose. Just get in touch and let me know how I can help you. I look forward to helping each one of the listeners. And I hope I can add value to your lifestyle, to your wealth management.
Thank you for your time. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to you. It was super fun. I hope I could add some value to your listeners today.
Oh, tremendous value. And I'll be putting the information in the description as well for those listeners.
That's perfect. Thank you so much again for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
All right.
We hope you enjoyed this interview and got some value out of it to help you in your real estate investing journey. If you can take just a minute, please do us a favor and leave a review. Hit the like button on iTunes or whatever platform you listen to our podcast on, and subscribe so you can hear future episodes. Also, don't forget to check out our Real Estate Home Runs Podcast Community Facebook group, where you are able to connect with some great listeners. If you're an investor who is crushing it and want to share some information centered around passive income in real estate, please contact us. Hit those home runs, and we will see you next time.